Three strikers Manchester United should sign. We are talking premium options today. We're going to be going through some of the best forwards in Europe right now. And next week, we're going to talk young strikers, diving into the next generation of goal-scoring bagsmen across the world. We're going to be taking a trip to South America, so make sure you subscribe to check that one out. Manchester United are in dire need of a number 9. Wout Weghorst came in on loan in January and failed to score a goal in the Premier League, whereas Anthony Martial's 6 goals isn't enough for a team that wants to compete for a Premier League title. Today we're going to look at 3 options. The first option is a pretty obvious one. Harry Kane from Tottenham. Kane's 30 goals in the Premier League this season has been incredibly impressive. 25 non-penalty goals for Harry Kane in that Spurs team is pretty incredible. 10 goals with his head as well, which is more than any other player in Europe. A part of his game that is really starting to evolve is when one of the wide players, one of the fullbacks, puts the ball into the box. Harry Kane is getting on the end of them to great effect. So let's take a look at Harry Kane from this season. As we mentioned, goal scoring in the Premier League was something that he did and made it look really, really easy. Look at those 30 goals from just 21.46 expected goals. Harry Kane is a striker that always beats his expected goals number. He is a brilliant finisher, much better than the average in terms of putting those chances away. Again, an XG of over 20 is fantastic. Kane having 3.4 shots per game with 1.7 on target. 3 assists this season for Harry Kane isn't a lot, but when you consider the squad that he was playing with, the managers that came through the door, it's incredibly impressive for him to, even get that amount of goals. And he put in some really good performance against some top sides, scored in the 1-0 win at Manchester City, a really good goal that he scored following a good turnover from Højbjerg. Composure in the box is what you get from Harry Kane. He loves a low finish inside the penalty area. It's one of those situations where he likes to hit it low, likes to drive it into the bottom corners. If we take a look at his goal, it's a classic Harry Kane goal. Good finish, past the goalkeeper, simple as you like. Not only did he score against Manchester City this season, but he scored in both games against Liverpool, one coming in the 2-1 defeat. But again, kind of the only player that really appeared for Spurs all season in these matches as well. I think with Harry Kane, the development of him as a kind of premium goal scorer, he's kind of coming into his prime. It's his joint best ever season this season. Would have won the Golden Boot in something like, all seasons but 6. But of course, Haaland was playing and cheating this season, being a bit of a robot. I think if you look back to the last few seasons, I think one of the things that Kane has evolved is that ability to create for his teammates, averaging 1.5 chances created per game and finishing that season with 14 assists. That's the obvious advantage for Manchester United. Not only is it him getting in the box, as we mentioned previously, but it's creating, it's getting off the line, it's allowing his teammates to move around him and then find that final ball. Bruno Fernandez had quite a good relationship with Edinson Cavani when he was at Manchester United. One of the goals that I really, really enjoyed, I think it came against Everton, where the ball was fizzed into the feet of Cavani. He then turned and played Bruno Fernandez in behind, who finished well. Something that we don't see enough of with Bruno Fernandez under Erik ten Hag is a lot of him receiving the ball, him creating chances, him playing Marcus Rashford in. Of course, that happened 6 times in the Premier League this season, which was the second highest relationship, behind, of course, Kevin De Bruyne to Haaland. But we don't see Bruno Fernandes making that move into the penalty area. But I do think with Harry Kane dropping off the line, his quality on the ball, brilliant footballer, not only to switch the play and then get Bruno Fernandes in behind, but also look for the direct passes for Bruno to finish off, would be a massive asset. I think as well, whoever plays in the wide areas is going to have a target in the box. That will be very apparent with our next striker as well, but I think Harry Kane gives these teams that a target in the penalty area, someone to really arrive at the right time and finish off moves. He does like striking the ball from just outside the D, as we mentioned previously, favours those corners, favours finishing in the left post and the right post. Those low daisy cutters is a classic Harry Kane goal. Would be a great signing for Manchester United, probably costing around £100 million plus, maybe 120, which, considering his contract expires next summer, Daniel Levy's having a little bit of a laugh, but would instantly improve United, would put them, in touching distance of Manchester City, in my opinion. I think United become title challengers with Harry Kane. Let's move on to other strikers in European football. We are talking the big dogs today. So the next guy we've got to speak about is Victor Osterman, someone that I thought Manchester United should have signed at Lille. And of course, now it's come back to bite Manchester United because they could have bought him for around £40 million from Lille. Now he's going to cost, close to 100 from Napoli. Napoli, of course, winning Serie A for the first time in around 20 years. Victor Osterman was a massive part of that. And I don't know why I've got the ball at Victor Osterman's feet, because very much he operates as a pressing forward, a guy that's going to squeeze the opponent when they've got the ball, and then he's a poacher. Very much a penalty box striker. So not necessarily going to be that sort of Erik ten Hag striker, where you see those, the classic Erik ten Hag strikers coming off the line, receiving to feet. The one thing with Victor Osimhen is he will stay in the penalty area. He'll wait for fullbacks, for wide players to put the ball into the box. He's devastating inside 6 yards. 9 goals from his 24 non-penalty goals this season in Serie A coming from inside the 6-yard box. Only Haaland scored more. He is a tap-in merchant, but that isn't a bad thing. A real goal-scoring striker. One of the things I like about him is he's got a really good ability to put crosses in from the left. That either came from Kvaratskhelia, cutting inside, crossing, something that Marcus Rashford could do onto his right foot, crossing to the back stick, or alternatively, it would come from a little cutback to the left-back Rui, something we could see with Luke Shaw, or alternatively another attack-minded left-back, moving Luke Shaw the left centre-back position when Lisandro Martinez isn't fit. Of course, Jadon Sancho is a player that loves link-up play. He's someone that needs players in close proximity. The back end of the season, ignoring the FA Cup final, Sancho actually was building a bit of momentum. Again, the FA Cup final was a very difficult game for Manchester United for a number of different reasons, but not a game where Sancho should have been scapegoated. But I do think with someone like Victor Osimhen in there, it's not going to be the link play, but it's going to be that focus inside the penalty area, which allows Sancho, but also the fullback behind him, to advance into the area and then put the ball in the box. It's going to be slightly different to Harry Kane in terms of makeup of the forward line. There's going to be a lot more responsibility, I think, on the fullbacks and the 2 free eights to create those opportunities. For someone like this, Victor Osimhen, he doesn't really get involved in play. He just puts the ball in the back of the net, and that isn't a bad thing. We talk about his link up with Kvaratskhelia on the left-hand side. For Napoli, there were 6 assists to Victor Osimhen, which is a top record in there. And I think that's the ability, not only it's kind of the crosses that come into the box, but Osimhen as a poacher is really aware for his teammates to having shots, keeper saved and then putting the rebound, and he has that knack of arriving in the right spot at the right time and then being really composed with his 1-foot finishes. I think as well, when you're looking at, his qualities, carrying Napoli in an offensive situation, 24 years old as well, he's only going to get better and better, but very much that kind of last line poacher. I think some of his best games of the season, came when he was very much operating inside the penalty area, putting the ball into the back of the net is a key part of his game. You can see this game against Bologna, completed only 4 passes, but scored twice and had 6 shots. He had 2 more shots than he managed passes in the game. That is Victor Osimhen, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think he's got a good level of hustle, was fantastic in this game against Eintracht Frankfurt. Constant threat, constantly getting in the right areas, always causing the problems. But again, 9 passes completed. We're talking single digits. Similar to Haaland, in a sense. Haaland isn't always involved with Manchester City, but he broke goal-scoring records. That's something that Victor Osimhen would be. It would be in that Haaland kind of mould, in a sense, versus a Harry Kane that's going to get involved. Man of the match performance against Juventus in a 5-1 win. Absolutely embarrassing for the Juventus superstars. Victor Osimhen, 2 goals and an assist. 5 shots on goal, 2 chances created, including 1 big chance in that match. Brilliant, superb performance. Not only has he got that ability in the box when the ball's wide, he is a very active presser. That's why we call him a pressing forward, or a pressing poacher would be a good way to kind of describe it. His goal that he scored against Ajax was closing down their goalkeeper, Pasveer, on the ball, shut him down, robbed it. Ball in the back of the net would help United press off the ball, which I think is something that they really need to improve. So allowing United to squeeze their opponents higher up the pitch in a kind of 4-1-4-1 structure, which was kind of similar to Napoli, or at times we'd have the 4-4-2 structure, both centre mids super high. But pushing his centre mids so high for Napoli, again, it was an aggressive strategy, but you had Victor Osimhen that initially put pressure on the ball. You had that, so you're avoiding players playing over the top from you. You're giving them no time. Victor Osimhen is that guy. He is a brilliant pressing forward that's going to put the ball in the back of the net. But maybe not the link man that United need. Wouldn't say it's a bad transfer, though. Again, I mentioned before, could have bought him from Lille a while ago. Moving on to our final bagsman today, and that is Randal Kolo Muani, a player that I have really enjoyed watching. Gives me the Thierry Henry vibes. Skillful, quick, really explosive with his dribbling, can go both ways, trick you on the left, shoot on the right, and vice versa. I think he has that ability to finish with both feet, which I really, really like. He is an absolute devastating channel striker. We're talking about channels. It's obviously the space between the fullback and the centre half. It's the classic Thierry Henry channel. We know when we talk about Thierry Henry, where I see Thierry Henry is in this inside left channel. Muani loves getting into these positions. For Eintracht Frankfurt this season, he's basically played as a solo striker in their kind of 3-4-3 structure, and done it to really, really good effect. He's a player that likes to lead the line, that likes to receive balls into feet, loves running the channels, loves getting on the ball. We can see with his heat map in this game against Freiburg that he's got two really dark areas in either channels. Loves going left channel, loves going right channel. He's a player that really contributes in an attacking sense. In this game, he had a whopping 7 shots on goal, but did miss 3 big chances. I'm not saying he's the final form. Completed 5 out of his 4 dribbles, scored, created a chance. More involved than a Victor Osterman. I'd describe him as a bit of a Track-Artista, that Thierry Henry vibe. In the Bundesliga this season, he's absolutely come of age, where he's been involved in goals and assists. 15 goals, 11 assists, directly involved in 26 goals, which for a centre forward is brilliant numbers. And that's kind of why we talk about him being a bit of a Track-Artista, a guy that's going to create something out of nothing. He is basically the entire offence. He doesn't really press, doesn't really harry off the ball. Instead, he doesn't really contribute. He waits for the opponents to lose the ball and then he strikes. Electric pace. Again, we mentioned before, finishing off both feet. So instinctive inside the box. He's that type of player that's going to receive a cross, receive a ball into the box, take a touch, beat a man, score. That's the quality that he has. Not only did he provide quality in the Bundesliga this season, but in the Pokal, where Frankfurt got to the final. He was directly involved in more goals than any other player. You're looking at 6 goals and 3 assists. Superb, channel play, superb goal scoring. In this game, 2 goals and assist against Darmstadt, showing his real quality. 5 shots on goal, 1 chances created. You can see with his shot map that he will work shooting opportunities a lot, in different moments. And we take his Bundesliga stats here. He's averaging 2.4 shots per game, 1 on target, but creating 11 big chances and 11 assists. A player that would really be utilised well for Manchester United, especially on in the counter-attack. I think one of the big things that it would mean United could do is kind of have that rotation of Rashford filling as the 9 at times, Muani pulling wide and operating as the winger and vice versa. I think the link-up between those two would be absolutely devastating. You're kind of playing a false 9, Track-Artista type player that's going to move away from that central striking position, which also could give Bruno Fernandez the option to become the nominal forward at times high up the pitch, or alternatively the new attacking mid or 8 that Man United signed can facilitate that role as a second striker. Muani, though, top footballer, very, very exciting to watch him. I think he's out of the sort of 3 players we've looked at today. He'll carry the ball, he'll drive at the opponents, he'll take people on, he'll make things happen, but it's slightly different. I think Kane's kind of more of that deep-lying playmaker, will control things. Osterman's that pressing forward poacher, and of course Muani is that Track-Artista Thierry Henry striker. Get into the comments, who would you want Manchester United to sign this summer? I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new. We'll see you later.